Mattingly then dropped his rifle, empty rifle, to the roadway and reached for a grenade and tossed it over into that emplacement. Whereupon there were four Germans rose up and threw their hands up. And then Mattingly picked up his empty rifle, stood up, and covered these individuals and ordered them out of the emplacement. All of this happened perhaps in the space of 15 seconds, 20 at the most. And as Mattingly was motioning the Germans to come forward out of the gun emplacement on the north side of the road, 5 Germans rose up out of a concealed gun emplacement on the south side of the road behind him. And here he had captured 9 Germans, 2 machine guns, in the space of about, as I say, 15 or 20 seconds. And I was absolutely amazed at how he conducted himself. It was almost as if he was a robot. And he was decorated with a Silver Star for that. We continued on across the causeway, and as we were about halfway across the causeway, we witnessed a smoke explosion on a smoke bomb, smoke grenade actually, was set off in the churchyard at Caulkeny Church. And that signified to us that there were friendly troops up there, because that was one of the signals that we had. Yellow smoke meant friendly troops. So we continued quickly across there, Schwarzwalder, bringing up the main body of our group, which, as I say, is probably 70, 75 people. And we got to the crossroads. Actually, it was more of a Y in the road, where the main road from Ste Mère-Église turned southwestward to go to Pickaville, and then another road went straight by the churchyard and went to Amphreville. A German ambulance came up the road from Pickaville, made a turn to the west, and he had the rear doors of the ambulance open. We could see that there were some American uniforms, casualties aboard that ambulance, and also German casualties, German uniforms, people laying in the floor of the ambulance. The ambulance made the turn toward Amphreville and halted, and for maybe about 2 or 3 minutes. And of course, we did not bother the ambulance because it was headed for an aid station and had American soldiers in it, or American uniformed bodies in it. So as we were deliberating on what our next move was going to be, we heard the rumble of tanks, and we also began to receive artillery at this junction of the Pickaville, Amphreville junction, which was just across the road from the churchyard. We had met up, when we approached the churchyard, we had met up with Lieutenant Levy of the 2nd Battalion, who was outposting the churchyard under the control of Colonel Timmis, who had outposted that, and it was his mission in the 2nd Battalion of the 507 to take and hold the west approach to the La Fière crossing. So with this, we heard the rumble of tanks, as I say, and artillery began to fall on the road junction. The ambulance moved on out of sight, And we concluded that why the ambulance had halted there was to send a message to the German force coming up from Peekaville. So what we did is evade to the north and went around across two coves of the inundated area and came to Timmy's Orchard, which is where he had come to rest with his folks after having tried to attack Amfreville. Timmy's notion was, as soon as he could get enough people together, was to make another attack. He had already made an attack on D-Day morning against Amfreville, which was unsuccessful. So as we joined Timmy's group in Timmy's Orchard, we then comprised about probably 150 folks altogether in that orchard, in the surrounding area of the orchard. And of course, the outposts remained until they were driven off from Kokanee back into Timmy's Orchard. So there they were. The Germans had moved in force. After the battle was over, we were back in Nottingham. It was concluded that that force that had moved in there was a reinforced German regiment, or equivalent to what would be a U.S. regiment. So it was a sizable force in there. We knew that we were not going to be enough strength to defend that bridgehead, so we just moved on around to go in. We just didn't have enough people. We may have a chance if we link up with Timmy's instead of going to our place in the airhead line, which we likely would not have been able to do anyway, because the Germans were back in there in Amfreville. It was clear by then that we didn't have enough troops to establish the airhead line, to make a defense of it there. We just didn't have the troops. And so Timmy's Schwarzwälder placed us under Timmy's control. That's what. And we were going to do whatever Timmy's wanted us to do. And Timmy's was wanting to take the town of Amfreville, see, because that was one of his objectives. He also had the objective of holding the western approaches to the Lafayette crossing. So he had a big job to do. And he was sitting right in the middle between them, with not enough troops to do either one. It turns out that Timmy's group in the orchard served to maintain a presence there across near the road, the western end of the causeway, and also provided flank protection for the attack that later took place across there and raised a charge across the causeway.